In a normal market, housing should consume about 30% of your gross income, but in Zimbabwe it consumes 50% to 80%. So, and when you factor in Zim salaries now, you see that these prices are not only high, but they are overpriced. Because so a house with a functioning bore charges 50% to 100% more than the identical house that is. Because the law that regulates the rentals is a bit tweak, low and ineffective sometimes. Landlords are not starting upper hand. So landlords are investing heavily on private infrastructure for their property to be habitable. So that means that hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I'm Ziko Tags, and I hope this is not going to be your last time here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and to my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much for your support. So today I'm here with an interesting topic: the cost of living in Zimbabwe, rentals edition in high density areas and rentals in low density areas, rentals in CBD. Well, according to most sources, rent is influenced by the area, the type of infrastructure, the availability of services. So basically, rent is not the space. You're paying for the availability of services. You are paying for the infrastructure, because it looks like rentals are just like infrastructure takes. You are paying back the money that the landlord has used. Because a room in high density suburbs can be around $60 a month, but same room, that same size in low density areas can be around $120. So we all know a city or a town is categorized by the high density, the low density, and the town center. So today we're looking at Harare because it gives us the general price standard. So a one bed Kuma Avenues ranges from $450 to $600 a month. It's usually modern and secure and central, because Kuma Avenues, it's like you're just staying in town, because you don't need a taxi to get in town. The 3-bed Kuma Avenues ranges between $1,200 to $1,400, and it's usually spacious. Also, a 3-bed Kuma areas such as Borodo, it ranges from $900 to $1,200 per month. And those houses usually have solar backup, balls, and the like. Such as Avondale, Greendale, you can get a cottage from $300 to $500, and it's usually the setup of a cottage. Kungoti ka kitchen, maybe ka lounge beside that open plan kind of thing. Then maybe 2 bedrooms, and that's enough. So it's about $300 to $500, and it's usually not a shared setup. You just take the cottage uri one. It's usually one family, not room. No. Then in middle density suburbs such as Mainway Meadows, you can get full house from around $500 to $700, and maybe a room around plus or minus $80 per month. And the rooms are quite smaller than those Eku Nana Greendale, Avondale. They are smaller, and most of the houses have solar backup and boreholes as well. Then let's look at high density suburbs such as Budiriro, Glenview, Glenora, among others. Get a full house from as little as $150 per month to $300 per month, and it's usually a shared living. You can have about 4 families in one house. Maybe the other family is using the lounge, the other is using 2 bedrooms, or maybe they're just using the rooms, and you have a shared kitchen. Chamungo share a kitchen and bathroom. Then you have separate bedrooms. So like I said, it's a shared living. You share amenities. You divide Biure Mvura. You divide Magets. Maybe you observe good motion sama gets akawanda, say then you divide by 4 families, 3 families. You can safely say all the rentals are in US dollars. Landlords now charge their rents in US dollars because the US dollar is more stable, and a deposit is required before you move in. Differ. Some may say we want half down, we want 50% of the rent down for deposit to secure your room, your house, whatever. High density areas are financially accessible, yes, but they come with service delivery risk. So usually those are public services like refuse collection, water supply. You know what I'm talking about. It may seem cheap, but you have to pay for those extra services. For example, like load shedding, yakanyanyisa kuma high density areas because of the population. So you have to look for other alternatives such as gas. So unengo unipure my gates, and also you have to budget for gas. It's usually $2 per kg. So you're looking at maybe a family of 5. You need maybe a full tank for 1.5 weeks. Because so we are looking at $10 for gas, maybe for 1.5 weeks, depending on your usage. You're also going to pay extra money for private water supplies because of water shortages. Weekend and maybe you don't have enough containers to store your water, so you have to pay for that. That is kind of passing a ball that is near that you won't be paying for rent only, but for other extra private services. Most landlords now rely on private infrastructures because of the water shortages, the load shedding, and the like. The service of the city council is a bit poor these days. You realize that you'll be paying more because many people are drilling boreholes. They are installing masola padzimbadzavo, so it means that they are going to charge more. So landlords are investing heavily on private infrastructure for their property to be habitable. So that means that vakurova vanhu pasi petsoka because akuda kudzosa mari yake akashandisa kuti sei kuzodrillisa boho kuzoisisa solar. So it's a bit of a challenge. You can see that landlords are now kind of overcharging because anenge akagadzira pamba pake, and especially to those areas they are close to town and they are popular. Vanoita zvavanoda because chero ukati hausuda kugara ipapo, they know very well kuti mangwana panouya umwe anoda imba, so havanyengereri at all. The landlords in Harare, they know people migrate every day. So a house with a functioning bowl charges 50% to 100% more than the identical house that relies on city water, that relies on city council. So the tenant here is not paying for the space, is paying for is not paying for the space, is paying for reliability of amenity. The average rent for a 3-bed cottage in Harare is comparable to or even higher parts of Johannesburg, South Africa. And when you factor in Zim salaries now, you see that these prices are not only high, but they are overpriced because have invested in things that the city council should be providing. Like one can spend up to $10,000 for bore and tank storages and solar backup. Say you are now paying for your landlord's capital investment. In Zimbabwe, especially in big cities, rentals consume about 50% to 80% of middle class income. Because let's take a look at general manager's pay. We are looking at around plus or minus $1,000. Then maybe he's staying $700 per month. In a normal market, housing should consume about 30% of your gross income, but in Zimbabwe it consumes 50% to 80%. So you see that rentals are quite high, But I don't blame the landlords because they have invested. There's a high demand of houses and a low supply because people are migrating vachienda kumatowns. Vane dzimba dzavo, like I said, vano overprice dzimba dzavo because they've got nothing to lose. Uneimba muwaterfalls, it's convenient. Unongowana vanhu vanongoda imba because vanhu vanenge vachida kumaareas anenge ari convenient, so they've got nothing to lose. Anongokudza kuti rent yangu imari yakati kana usingadi, because the law that regulates the rentals is a bit tweak, low and ineffective sometimes. Landlords anosara ne-upper hand, vanochaja mari dzavanoda because hapana kwaunokwanisa unonotaura kuti imba iri kudhura, kana usingazvikwanisi unongosiya iye anongoti rent yangu imari yakati. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have watched it to the end. Please like, comment and share for more videos like this. Tell me what you think in the comment section about the cost of living in Zimbabwe, the rentals edition. Bye guys.